Allie Cole, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Gary Edwards. How are you doing today, Gary?
I'm good. How about you, Allie?
I'm pretty good. So we have a really interesting topic to talk about, and that's medical marijuana in the workplace and how it could affect the workplace as we know it. Can you give us a little bit more information about this?
Sure, Allie. Well, I think this subject, we're in an uncharted territory here, and nobody really knows which rules, regulations, and laws are going to affect medical marijuana users. Or should I say that we don't know how marijuana will affect the workplace as we know it, but one thing's clear, medical marijuana is here to stay. So employers, hiring companies, you and I, we're all going to have to learn to work through its initial stage of unknowns. I mean, it's clear that marijuana has a place in the world as a drug with basically that has little to no side effects for patients, which is great. And it's been proven to control and help to alleviate some forms of physical pain. It has a calming effect for some individuals that have trauma, brain disorders, and even people suffering from PTSD, it can be useful. Not to mention for some patients with cancer who don't have an appetite these days, this drug should be very helpful since it's known to cause a serious case of the munchies and allow them to, get some of their nourishment.
So now that we've talked about the positive effects that medical marijuana might have, can you explain how this could affect the workplace?
I think it can affect the workplace in a lot of different ways. For starters, let's think about what happens, for example, in a state which recognizes medical marijuana right now and has also legalized it for recreational usage. Then a new employee who uses marijuana is interviewed and can't pass a drug test because of it. Well, this individual may never use it while they're on the clock, but the initial question will still be, will or can they be hired if they can't pass a drug test? Will the employer look past marijuana in the bloodstream and view it the same way as they would alcohol? For example, as long as we don't show up to work drunk, intoxicated, it doesn't affect our performance at work, then employers don't think twice about alcohol in the bloodstream. But marijuana, that's been a very different story up until now. So we have to take a real long, hard look at it.
So this seems like a huge industry. How do you think it might affect the economy?
Well, I think it could affect the economy in a lot of areas. It's likely going to start reducing the number of qualified workers that are needed for certain jobs that require drug testing. And it'll certainly affect anyone working in the defense or military industry, and for those employees who hold, maintain, or need a security clearance these days. I also believe that it'll cause a ripple effect in the housing market in the states that allow recreational usage, because in Colorado, for example, since marijuana was legalized there, they've seen a large number of homes being bought and sold using cash, which up until now, it's a very rare thing. Most people need a mortgage, but when there's cash involved, it basically raises the cost of housing and has driven some families out of the state who didn't want their, children and families subjected to legal marijuana usage in their community. It's also discouraged others from moving to these states who've legalized it, which in turn may also affect the local jobs. Now, on the other side of this conversation is the positive effect that recreational marijuana users will have on the state who legalized marijuana, because many of these individuals may want to flock to those states, causing an influx of new residents.
So that's a lot of food for thought about how this might change the world as we know it. Do you have any closing thoughts on this topic?
Well, I would say that, once the laws are clearly defined and the workplace rules are better established, I'm sure that it'll be a mostly positive outcome. So in the end, I think we have to wait to see what happens and, go from there.
Well, as always, it's been so interesting and so informative talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thanks for having me, Allie, and you have a great day.
You too.